Adam lived a peaceful life on the outskirts of town, sharing every joyful moment with his beloved wife, Sophia, and their 8-year-old daughter, Emily. Their world was simple yet complete. Each day, Adam cherished the warmth of family, mornings filled with Emily's laughter, Sophia's gentle smile, and weekend picnics by the lake. Emily's curious questions about the world brightened Adam's heart, while Sophia's love gave him strength. Their life was one of small joys, family dinners, bedtime stories, and promises of a bright future. They dreamed together, planned vacations, and celebrated even the smallest victories. For Adam, there was no greater happiness than coming home after work, seeing Emily run into his arms, and sharing quiet moments with Sophia. Adam often thought life couldn't be more perfect. His little family was his entire world, and every second spent with them felt like a gift. They shared hopes for Emily's future, imagining her growing up to achieve great things. Together they built a life where love and laughter flourished. But fate is often cruel. Life's greatest treasures can vanish without warning. What seemed like an ordinary day would soon plunge Adam's perfect world into chaos, unraveling the life they held so dearly. It was a beautiful Saturday afternoon when the unthinkable happened. The sun shone brightly, and the family was enjoying a picnic at the park. Emily played on the swings, her giggles filling the air, while Sophia set out sandwiches. Adam had just stepped away to buy ice cream when a black van suddenly screeched to a halt nearby. Before anyone could react, masked men jumped out, grabbing Sophia and Emily. Their screams pierced the quiet afternoon. Adam turned at the sound, his heart stopping as he saw the van's doors slam shut and speed away. He sprinted after it, shouting their names, but the van disappeared into the distance. He called the police, panic consuming him. Hours turned into days with Adam desperately waiting for news, clinging to hope that his family would be found unharmed. But each passing moment without them felt like a knife twisting deeper into his heart. His once vibrant world now stood still, draped in fear and uncertainty. Adam's mind raced with questions. Why us? Why them? His family had no enemies, no reason to be targeted. He prayed that wherever they were safe. But the nightmare was only just beginning. Days later, the phone rang in the dead of night. A voice cold and emotionless delivered the news Adam dreaded most. Your wife resisted. She and the girl are dead. The words shattered Adam's soul. Sophia and Emily, his entire world, were gone. The kidnappers had taken everything from him, leaving behind only an unbearable emptiness. He collapsed on the floor, tears flowing uncontrollably, screaming their names into the silence of the night. The police tried to console him, promising to investigate, but no justice could bring his family back. Adam stopped eating, stopped sleeping. His house, once filled with laughter, became a tomb of memories. Every corner held reminders of what he had lost. The toys in Emily's room, Sophia's perfume lingering in the air. His grief turned into rage, festering inside him. He had lived for them, and without them, his life felt meaningless. But there was one thing that kept him going: revenge. He couldn't rest until the men responsible paid for what they had done. His love for Sophia and Emily became fuel for his anger, and Adam vowed to find the ones who destroyed his family. Adam's quest for vengeance pulled him into the darkest corners of the city. He wandered through back alleys, entering bars and nightclubs frequented by criminals. The kind, loving man he once was had vanished. In his place stood a man with nothing to lose, willing to embrace the underworld to find his family's killers. At first, Adam took small jobs for gangsters, running errands, enforcing debts, and working security. Each task brought him closer to the dangerous men who knew the kidnappers. His moral compass eroded, replaced by the cold necessity of survival. He carried a gun now, a symbol of the man he had become. Years passed, and Adam's transformation was complete. He had become a feared name in the underworld, known only as Ghost. He was ruthless, calculating and relentless in his pursuit of answers. The gentle husband and father was gone, replaced by a man fueled by rage and grief. Yet, every step deeper into the criminal world brought him closer to the truth. He began hearing whispers about a kidnapping ring, one that sounded eerily similar to what had happened to Sophia and Emily. Adam knew the end was near. He just had to find them. One night, Adam's relentless search bore fruit. While sitting in a dimly lit bar, he overheard a conversation between two gang members. One of them, a man with a scar across his face, boasted about an old kidnapping job. "That woman wouldn't shut up," he laughed, "and the kid cried too much, so we dealt with them." Adam's blood ran cold. His hands clenched into fists as he fought the urge to pull his gun and end it right there. But he needed to be sure. This was his chance to find them all. He followed the scar-faced man, shadowing him through the streets until he reached an old, run-down warehouse. Inside, Adam saw the faces of the men responsible for his family's death. Memories of Sophia's laugh and Emily's hugs flooded his mind, accompanied by the unbearable pain of losing them. His heart pounded with rage. These were the monsters who had taken everything from him. Adam felt the weight of his gun against his side. The time for planning was over. The moment of vengeance had arrived. He would show them no mercy, just as they had shown none to his wife and daughter. Adam stormed into the warehouse, gun drawn with rage burning in his heart. The gangsters barely had time to react before he opened fire. Years of anger and grief fueled every shot. One by one, the men fell, their bodies hitting the ground with dull thuds. Adam fought like a man possessed, driven by the memories of the family they had destroyed. Soon only one man remained, the scar-faced leader who had bragged about killing Sophia and Emily. Adam cornered him, pressing the barrel of his gun to the man's forehead. The gangster begged for his life, offering money and information. But Adam's eyes were cold, void of mercy. "You took my family," Adam whispered, his voice shaking with emotion. "Now, I take yours." With a final shot, the man fell lifeless at Adam's feet. The room was silent, except for Adam's heavy breathing. The revenge he had longed for was complete. For a moment, Adam felt a flicker of satisfaction. The men responsible for his pain were gone. But as the adrenaline faded, a deeper emptiness took its place. He stood alone in the dim light, surrounded by bodies, realizing that no amount of bloodshed could bring his loved ones back. Adam left the warehouse, his hands stained with blood and his heart heavier than ever. He had avenged his family, but the victory felt hollow. The satisfaction he had imagined was fleeting. His wife and daughter were still gone, and no act of revenge could change that. As he walked through the quiet streets, memories of Sophia and Emily haunted him. He could still hear their laughter, still feel Emily's tiny hand in his. But those memories were now ghosts, reminders of a life he could never reclaim. Adam collapsed on a bench, burying his face in his hands. For years he had lived for revenge, believing it would bring him peace. But now that it was over, he felt more lost than ever. The darkness inside him remained, gnawing at his soul. He whispered their names into the night, hoping they could hear him wherever they were. "I did it for you," he said, voice trembling. "I hope you can forgive me." But there was no response. Only silence. Adam knew he couldn't return to his old life. The man he once was had died with Sophia and Emily. All he could do now was try to find a way forward. As dawn broke, Adam sat watching the sun rise over the city. He knew the road ahead would be long and uncertain, but for the first time in years, a small part of him felt at peace. The men who had destroyed his family were gone, and though revenge hadn't healed him, it had given him closure. Adam vowed to honor Sophia and Emily's memory by becoming a better man. He would leave the darkness behind and try to build something new. It wouldn't be easy. He was a broken man, haunted by the past. But he had to try. He rose from the bench, taking a deep breath. The sun's warmth touched his face, reminding him that life, though painful, still moved forward. With each step, he left behind the ghosts of his past, determined to find a new purpose. Adam knew he could never forget his wife and daughter, but he could live in their memory. He promised to carry their love in his heart, using it as a guide to shape the man he would become. They would always be with him, not as ghosts of grief, but as the reason to rise every morning and keep going. The world that once crumbled around him was not entirely beyond repair. It wouldn't happen overnight, but perhaps one day Adam would learn to live again. He didn't know where the road would lead, but it didn't matter. The darkness was behind him now, and for the first time in years, the future, no matter how uncertain, seemed possible. With the faintest flicker of hope igniting within him, Adam walked away from the shadows. His journey was far from over, but this was a new beginning, one where he would live not for revenge, but for the love he once had and the man he hoped to become. And so, as the sun climbed higher in the sky, Adam stepped forward into the unknown, ready to face whatever life had in store. Not as a man seeking vengeance, but as someone determined to find peace and rebuild his life, one day at a time.